What's up, Big 12 Nation? It is Tuesday night in America. That can mean only one thing. It's time for another edition of your favorite YouTube-centric Big 12 football-themed show. That's right. It's the one, it's the only, it's the biggest 12 with me, your host, Clint Foster. Thanks so much, wherever you are, for making us a part of your Tuesday night, whether you're watching on YouTube, on Twitter, or your audio platform of choice, because we're there too. So, okay, we got a great show. It's Iowa State night. Sound the tornado sirens. We're talking all things cyclones and birds that are also possibly cyclones. I'm so hyped for this show. It's going to be a really fun time. But before we get into any of that, before we get into questions like, can Iowa State make it back to Arlington? I need some things from you. First of all, I need you to subscribe to the show. Come on. I'm not asking a lot of you. Don't make me beg on my hands and knees. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're inching ever closer. And I need your help to do it. So there it is, at Big 12 VOCFB. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your ex-lovers, tell your sister's Girl Scout leader, whoever it is, whoever you got to tell, get everybody to subscribe to the show. We're going to make this a thing. We're going to grow this sucker. And while you're following things, follow me on YouTube, my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Creations. I am currently posting bonus content from the upcoming documentary, which Brownie has actually seen. I'm not going to, put him on blast, but he's seen the documentary, so he can tell you you should be excited about it. Okay. And we got some bonus content on there now that you should check out, and follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55. Be sure to check out the Voice of College Football on Twitter. That's the VOCFB. You might even be watching this on Twitter right now. I mean, look at you all-star. Make sure you hit that follow button and follow the Voice of College Football on Instagram as well. And as I said, catch the Big 12 live on your favorite audio platform, Amazon, Apple, Spotify. You know the deal. We're on all of them. Make it a part of your commute. Listen several times. Become a student of the game being the biggest 12. All right, so it is Iowa State night, as I said. And without further ado, I got to welcome in these two dudes, friends of the show. I'm so hyped to have them both on the show at the same time together for the first time. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Mackey and Brownie, here they are. Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight?
I'm about as good as that documentary is going to be, so 10 out of 10.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm not doing too bad. I get to hang out with Brownie and Clint tonight, so that's a pretty good night.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night.
I jokingly told Clint we were going to do this from a bar together, and now I'm low-key wishing that we would have.
Yeah,
we do have a beer.
As that man is drinking a Shiner.
I'm doing my part. I'm doing what I can to simulate the bar environment. And we are going to have trivia, so, lots of bar things happening.
Trivia, baby.
Before we get into Iowa State, the two biggest pieces of Big 12 news are TCU related. So if you two will indulge me, I do want to bring them up. Dishfish has already brought up the Ireland game. Y'all are opening your season this year against Kansas State in Dublin, and we are doing the same against North Carolina next year. I'm not excited. I'm not happy about it. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong to feel that way, but
bring on the money.
Money, but it's just, I feel like it's season ticket holders at TCU. The prices keep going up. Marquee home games never materialize. And, great. We're going to have a bunch of eyeballs and the kids are going to have a blast. And if you have the money and time to make it out to Dublin, more power to you. But I don't know. As somebody who is likely not going to be able to make it to that game, I am exceptionally bummed about it. Exceptionally bummed. Should I feel
Question. Would it be cooler if it was, instead of TCU versus North Carolina, would it be cooler if it was TCU Baylor?
The Blue Bonnet Battle in Ireland, is that what you're saying? Might have to change the name to something else. I don't know. I'd rather play like a Notre Dame in Dublin. I think that'd be fun, But I feel like TCU Baylor, you got to play in Texas, I don't know. Just feels kind of. I don't want to play any games that I can't go to.
It's a cash grab.
Yeah, it is. The whole sport's a cash grab right now. Greg, am I right to be feeling this way?
Yeah. I think big, like, especially non-con games need to be played on campus, just because usually it's a home and home, and you you're not guaranteed to see them further down the road. Like, we play Kansas State this year. Yeah, go throw it on a neutral site because, either next year or the year after, you're going to see them at home again. So I'm just not a big fan of those big non-con games being on neutral sites.
Yeah, and this is also for TCU fans, this is the third time in the last decade plus that we've scheduled a marquee home and home, and we have mortgaged the home portion of that home and home to a neutral site. We did it against LSU, we did it against Ohio State, and now North Carolina. I mean, what are we doing? But are y'all excited about K-State in Dublin, or are either y'all going to be able to go to that one?
Yeah, I was pretty excited about the whole Dublin, Ireland thing. I mean, my dad and I always try every year to at least go to one, and that was kind of the one that we picked out because when's the next time that you're going to be able to see your college football team play in a foreign country?
That's true.
I mean, I'm at least excited about that. I think the thing that I'm more excited about is we didn't lose a home game for it. I think I would be more pissed if we did, just because, like you were saying, it's Farmageddon. It's not going to be on our schedule indefinitely moving forward because, Lord forbid, Jamie Pollard try to protect the longest football rivalry series that has been uninterrupted for over 100 years. Like, Lord forbid we do anything like that. But, I mean, still kind of sucks for individuals because it's not going to be like, oh, honey, let's go get the kids and let's go to Dublin, Ireland for the weekend game and hang out. It's like, it's your vacation for the year.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the fact that it was literally the weekend after the first week of school, then maybe it would be easier for like my wife and I to justify, hey, yeah, let's make a whole trip out of it. Because we've been wanting to do the Scotland, Ireland thing anyway, get in touch with these roots, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. And supposedly TCU isn't losing a home game. Supposedly we're still going to have like 7 home games that year somehow. But it's like, who's the other home game? Mississippi Valley State.
Yes.
We're already playing Arkansas State, and we're too scared to play SMU because we're freaking yellow in that regard. I mean, it's so irritating. But other piece of news that we should talk about, and I think the reason I wanted to bring this up with y'all is because I feel like it does have broader implications for the Big 12 as a whole. But Josh Hoover spurning Tennessee, who offered him an additional at least $1 million to try and come to Knoxville and leave the Frogs. He says, no, I'm staying here. I'm staying in Fort Worth. Happy with my situation. Thoughts on that and thoughts on whether or not there's going to be a broader effect for the rest of the Big 12 because of Josh Hoover making that choice?
I'm so tired of these teams like trying to poach other players.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's worse than like free agency in any pro sport because there are no rules. Like you can contact them during the season and stuff. It's great for TCU. They get an experienced quarterback back. And, in the Big 12, I think it's great when you can hold on to that talent because we're kind of looked at as like the stepchild of the conferences. So like if you can hold on to talent like that and keep them home, so to say, like that just kind of, a rising tide lifts all ships type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, isn't it wild how Big 12 football sucks, but everybody wants our freaking quarterbacks?
Yeah, right.
Like,
what do you know about
State
that?
had to go and get like a Big 12 quarterback that couldn't even run the table in the Big 12 to go win a natty. And now all of a sudden Tennessee's like, oh, hey, that TCU quarterback is like really, really good. Maybe we should go get that dude. Or, like there was the rumor that they were going after Avery Johnson and Rocco Beck. Like, how I understand that there is a rule for the SEC where if you transfer internally in the conference, you do have to sit out a year if it is the spring semester. So I know that they're probably not going to be getting like an SEC quarterback or something like that, but you're looking around and you're like, okay, well, you can poach a Big Ten school. You can go after the quarterbacks out at USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington. You could go get an ACC quarterback if you really wanted. But no, everybody is content on poaching the Big 12 by going, "Oh, the Big 12 sucks, but y'all are super good at the Big 12, so you should come play for the SEC." Like that, I think that is the most like insulting compliment that another conference and team can give you is that your conference sucks, but your players are great.
Which makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it's just there's so little loyalty in college football now. It was just, besides the fact that it was my team, it's just so refreshing to see a player want to stick it out and want to continue the journey at a place. One thing I think that was really enlightening doing this documentary that I just have completed is Trayvon Boykin was talking about one of the biggest issues with this era is you don't have guys reaching the peak of their development cycle in the same way anymore. That 2014 TCU team were guys that had been through 2 years of struggle, 2 years of growing and, sucking and figuring it out before, okay, now we're juniors. We've all been playing together for 2 years. It's time to start being good. It's just, you don't see that very much anymore. But hopefully with Iowa State, with so many young guys coming back. Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe. Okay. So let's play a little Iowa/Iowa State trivia, shall we? Folks, Brownie's been talking a very big game. Okay. Brownie is convinced that he's going to be the first to go 10 out of 10 on trivia tonight.
Only to get 10 out of 10.
Yes. Yeah. The first and only. Yeah. At this point. I don't know. Brownie, do you want to make it interesting? Do you want to put something on it, or are you just.
Oh, man. Let's see. When
Greg's
does
don't involve me in this bet?
I was thinking, we should bet like a next home game tickets or something. TCU versus ISU. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Play host for the loser.
Okay.
Or the winner.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I want to get up to Ames. I keep telling you that. I'm waiting for.
We got a spare room.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Okay, yeah, I'm down with that. Let's make it happen. Okay,
Greg, don't stand back. There's a 12-pack with your name on it.
Question number 1: the Pop-Tart Bowl, God bless its name, was Iowa State's 6th bowl win of all time. What was their first?
Insight Bowl, Insight.com Bowl.
Yep.
What year?
2000.
Was that 2000?
Yes, the 2000 Insight Bowl. And do you recall who Iowa State beat?
Pitt.
Yeah, very
Eat
nice.
shit, Pitt.
Across the board. There we go. Perfect. I didn't make my my high-tech scoreboard this time. Hold on. Let me get that updated here. ISU trivia. 1 point. Here we go. Ta-da! Very good. Okay, that's 1 for 1. Question number 2. When was the last time Iowa State was winless?
Oh, shit. Well, it would have been before Rhodes, so before Chisholm.
This is actually kind of surprising to me because, you talk about Iowa State historically as a program that has struggled a lot. They actually haven't had many winless seasons. You see a lot more winless seasons with Kansas. I think I counted 4 winless seasons altogether.
It would have been before McCarney.
94.
94 is correct. Very good,
Damn.
Greg.
Out of left field, Greg. I love you.
Brownie, you've not answered any of these yet.
Listen.
Okay. Question 3. Iowa State is undefeated against all 4 of the group of 5 schools that got added to the Big 12. Okay. So the question is, which team do they have the best undefeated record against?
BYU. 5-0.
5-0 against BYU. Yes, very good, Brandon.
I know that one from my stupid articles.
Very good. All right. Hey, we're 3 for 3.
I'm on the board.
That's pretty good. All right. So as you mentioned earlier, Brownie, Kansas State is Iowa State's longest running series. Iowa State leads that series 54-50-4. My question for you is, what is the game that Iowa State has played the second most?
Against Big 12 opponents, correct?
No, all time. The team that they have the longest history with besides Kansas State?
Nebraska.
It is Nebraska, Greg. Holy mackerel.
Damn.
Do you know what that record
I was thinking
is?
between Nebraska and I feel like Iowa would have been like the bait and switch because I feel like
Iowa's not really that close, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they ran from us for like 35 years because they sucked.
Yeah. Before Hayden Fry, yeah.
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 Yeah, so it would have been is the top three would have been K-State, Nebraska, and then is it Mizzou right after that one?
I believe it was Kansas.
Kansas?
Third. Yeah.
Kansas, then Mizzou?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the telephone trophy. But yeah, Nebraska, y'all are 18, 85, and 2 against Nebraska all time.
It's a better record against them than we are against Oklahoma.
Oy, sheesh.
It's a better record against them than freaking Colorado, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 4 for 4. 4 for 4. We're doing good. Okay, here we go. What legendary football pioneer was a part-time head coach of Iowa State from 1895 to 1898?
Pop Warner.
Pop Warner is correct. Yes. Do you know who he was splitting time with? What other program he was coaching at that year? Those years?
I don't remember off the top
Is
of my
it in
head.
the state of Iowa, too?
No, it's
No,
like
it's not close.
southeast.
Yeah, it's Georgia. So he would hang at Iowa State for like the first month of the season, and then he'd go to Georgia and finish out their season, then come back to Iowa State, and he made $25 a week. So
Sick.
and every day on Twitter they were convinced that he was going to go to the Big Ten. Like the way-
I mean, not gonna lie, I make $25 a week too, so I could be the future Pop Warner.
not going to brag, but yeah,
Not to brag or anything.
you're basically Pop Warner. Okay. So in 2005, an actual
Jesus.
tornado touched down
Yep.
just before an Iowa State game, which
Colorado.
Iowa State went on to win. Yes, 30-16 against Colorado. Yes, very good.
I was there for that game. I saw a man pee in a cup, and then big play Brent Curvey pick sixed it. And I remember that because my dad was screaming, "Run, you son of a bitch, run!" And then he used the jumbotron above, like in the end zone, because it would have been where like Souk Up end zone was. We just had like a smaller makeshift end zone like screen, and for like the last 15 yards, you could see like a 5'9", 290-pound dude just staring up at the jumbotron, waiting for somebody to catch him.
Yeah, TCU played y'all that year too. Houston Bowl. I remember that.
Yeah,
very well.
you guys beat us, I think,
Yeah,
by
you
like 2
freaking-
touchdowns.
We did.
Murdered
we did.
us.
We did. I still remember Todd Blythe though. I was fascinated by Todd Blythe. Yes.
6'5" freak from middle of nowhere, Iowa.
Yeah, giant white guy from Iowa, corn-fed, Okay, so now we're getting into state questions. There are fewer Iowa State questions, not Iowa State, but Iowa the state questions in this trivia than I had in others because there's not a lot to know about Iowa actually. But here we go. Question number 7. On Iowa's flag, there was an eagle holding a banner in its mouth. What does that banner say?
Oh, Jesus.
It's like our liberties we cherish and our freedom we maintain.
Ooh, okay. That's close. It's close. Brownie, I want to see if you can get the exact right verbiage. I still might cut you some slack on that one, but do you know the exact verbiage? You're very close, Greg.
I think he got the very beginning correct. The end is... Man, where's my Iowa flag when I need it? I'm like looking around my office trying to actually find it. I don't know what the end of it is, but I'm pretty sure he got the front of it correct.
It says, "Our liberties we prize, and our
prize.
rights we will maintain." So you're very close.
Give us the point.
I feel like definitely half a point is merited. I mean, that's a tough one. I feel like
You made this way more challenging than the other ones. I'm just going to say
you,
that.
you haven't watched all of them. You haven't watched all of them. The Arizona ones were tough. Okay. Okay. So, and also, I did finish the John Denver lyric with Colorado, and they were over 10 on on finish the John Denver lyric. So, you're already better than them. Okay. Question number 8. If you end up with a 9.5 out of 10, I'm gonna give it.
Okay.
But we'll see. Okay. Question number 8. What U.S. president born in Iowa was the first president born west of the Mississippi in 1874?
Herbert Hoover.
Hoover.
It's Herbert Hoover. Yes. Very nice. Very nice.
Good old Herbie.
Yes. Famously successful president.
Yeah, all those cities he built.
Yeah.
All those Hoovervilles.
There's all those towns named after him. Okay. So,
And that big old dam.
yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. The damn. So, question 9. What standardized college prep test got its start in Iowa?
ACT.
The ACT. Greg. I mean, my gosh.
Greg is just carrying me at this point.
Brownie was literally
Thanks,
just
Greg.
gassing you up. And is it... Okay, last question.
That's why he's getting a 12-pack later.
Yes. Last question. What musical takes place in River City, Iowa? Broadway musical.
Music Man.
The Music Man. Yes.
And fun fact, there is an entire museum in Iowa for the Music Man. You
In
can even
Mason
walk down,
City.
in Mason City, Iowa. You can walk down Main Street of the set of Music Man, and it is awesome.
Look at that score, y'all. That is that deserves a slow clap.
That's
For
a
sure.
10 right there.
That's what happens
Yeah,
when you,
that's a 10. That's a 10.
And
that's
I'm
what happens when
shocked.
you get the autism twins on here.
And I'm shocked because he didn't bring up what do we have the largest of, which was the frying pan and the truck stop.
Yeah.
You
I actually thought about the
didn't
truck stop
bring up
question.
what city was the ice cream capital of the world. Which
I don't know that one. I haven't seen that one.
It's Lamar's, Iowa.
Okay.
American Gothic. I thought you were going to say something about American Gothic on here.
Yeah. I mean, it's only 10 questions, so.
There's just so many.
Yeah.
Brownie, I regret to inform you that the frying pan outside of Brandon is no longer the world's largest.
Yeah, don't rub no. Fake news.
Fake
I'm allowed
news.
one fake news, and that's my fake news.
Well, let's talk a little Cyclones football finally. So, last year, I mean, fantastic year. I think exceeded most everyone's expectations for what Iowa State was capable of. First ever 10-win season in school history. You make it to Arlington. What's the overall? I mean, Brownie, I've talked to you a little bit about this, but what's your overall sense of how successful last year was? I mean, give us a grade, Greg.
Well, I mean, it really kind of depends on the age range you talk to. If you talk to people Brownie and I's age and above, that was an A season. If you listen to the burners on Twitter that are all high school and college, they give that like a C plus. Which, if that. So, I say it was an A season because they made it back to Arlington. Obviously, they didn't win, but they won a bowl game after that. They got their first double-digit
bowl
wins.
game, okay?
The bowl game. Yeah.
Valid bowl game.
Got their first double-digit win season, and then they went and won another one. I think they were projected to win 7.5 this year, and I think even on this show about this time last year, I said that maybe 7-5, 8-4. So obviously they outperform my expectations.
Yeah, and I feel I think we got handed, as much as we don't want to admit it, a fairly cupcakey-ish schedule.
Yeah, our schedule is really easy.
So that's why I think a lot of people were expecting us even to stumble with that 7-win, 8-win, just because that there were some hard hitters on there that eventually did taper off, or for example, Baylor didn't know how to play football for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Utah.
Utah was non-existent. I mean, there were teams that we were supposed to get steamrolled by, and come to find out, we probably had one of the easiest schedules in all of Big 12 play. And I think we probably could have done better without injuries. I mean, you had Caleb Bacon, who was supposed to be our go-to blitzing, do-it-all utility linebacker, get injured in that North Dakota game. And then as the season went on, people started figuring out how to bully our all-true freshman linebackers because we didn't have elite pass rushers. Like, we couldn't apply pressure to any quarterback. And Jeff Grimes decided that he was going to pull out like the double and triple option crap on us at Kansas. And all of a sudden, Kansas looked good and went on a tear. So, like, it was great watching the very beginning. And then after bye week, it just kind of sucked. And then getting to the Big 12 championship game with, like, you know, the hopes of it being on, like, we were pressed up against a wall, right? Like, we actually had to fight and win to get in. It wasn't a guarantee. There were so many different scenarios. Then when we finally got in, I think that game was probably my biggest letdown game, was just getting absolutely annihilated by Arizona State. I think that we were better than what we showed.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't our day. And to turn around and beat the living crap out of Miami, I mean, people can put that asterisk like, oh, Cam Ward only played for a half. Yeah, we weren't that far behind him going into halftime. Like, Cam Ward or no Cam Ward, we were potentially going to win that game. So, I mean, like Greg said, us old balls are like, yeah, this is awesome. And I mean, even my dad's generation, like Greg's and my dad, like both of our dad's generation probably saw this and they were like, oh my God, like, raise the statue of Matt Campbell right now. This is the world's greatest thing ever, like double-digit wins. Like, who would have thought Iowa State would have ever gotten double-digit wins? And like Greg and I are like, hell yeah, like we've seen 7 wins, we've seen 8 wins, we saw a few 9s. And I mean, finally getting that monkey off our back is great. But like, we also grew up in the super crappy, we get curb stomped by everybody not named Missouri.
We've lived through a couple 2 and 3 win seasons, so it's just like,
yeah,
we know.
the post Dan McCarney era definitely gave me some gray hairs.
Well, you know, Twitter burners are famously reasonable and measured.
Twitter burners, man, are wild.
Yeah. Well, but hey, you know, like you say, it's an incredible season, truly by any metric, especially when you consider Iowa State's history. And so the question now is there any reason not to believe Iowa State can't continue to ride this wave of momentum and do something big again next year? I mean, you lose a couple of good receivers, but a lot of that core is coming back. The schedule's a little tougher at first glance. We'll get into the schedule. And Brownie, I know you're a little bearish on this next season, but is there why not believe? Why not believe that Iowa State can do it again?
I mean, when you're really looking at the schedule, I think that we got handed again a fairly decent one. Obviously, we can go into it when we get to that portion, but I just feel like, for me at least, we don't really have the answer to running back, right? Like, we saw Carson Hansen step up, take the primary role. Carson Hansen basically was that's how a white man runs a football, like, gif. Like, that was Carson Hansen. And then, you know, he got a little banged up, and we saw them start splitting time amongst like 2 or 3 other running backs that were extremely inefficient. And now you're taking away, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, probably top 2 wide receiver duo in Iowa State history.
Y'all would know better than me, but
it's just, I don't know how you're going to replace that productivity when you're trying to get the tight ends online. We had tight end injuries. Some of them have butterfingers. And you're throwing Rocco Becht, which I would say is a top 5 quarterback in the Big 12, maybe even top 3. New guys. So, I mean, they're going to have to put in a lot of work in the spring. I'm not overly concerned I mean, I'm partially concerned about our defense, but I mean, if you give me an OC versus a DC breakdown of who's going to get their stuff together in the offseason, it's probably going to be John Heacock. I mean, he's been around the block way too many times, and he pulled the 3-3 out of like thin air. So if he can somehow come up with the Gary Patterson 4-2 again and liven it up a little bit, I mean, maybe 7 or 8 again. But I've really seen the teams that are returning at the top of the table and the talent that they're bringing back at the top of the table. It's going to be a stretch to get back into Arlington. I think the Big 12 is just so top loaded this year that
it's very stacked at the top. Yeah.
But
I think that, I mean, really, like the top 7 teams, maybe there's a path to Arlington for several teams, and Iowa State's one of them.
Yeah, and I think it's really going to come down to schedules and who's the who's of the who's, right? Like, is Okie State going to turn it around magically overnight? I don't think so. Is BYU going to be able to pull off what they did last year? Arizona State? I mean, you lost Cam Scattaboo, which was about 65% of your offensive productivity. Do you got the dudes to replace him? Colorado? Are we sure? Are we really, really sure?
And I mean, word is they're already retiring their current quarterback's jersey.
Oh, dude, that was so bad. That was so
the kid
bad.
from Liberty, they've already retired his jersey. Like, you know.
Wasn't it both Shedeur and Travis Hunter's jerseys were retired, but they haven't retired 1 or 3, you know, the 2 guys that actually won them national championships?
Yeah, only Rashawn Salam is the only other one. And, like, Travis Hunter, sure, like, he won a Heisman, sure. But, like, come on.
Shedeur.
Come on.
I mean, let's face it, if the SEC, well, actually, scratch that. If the Southwest Conference retired every jersey that one of the players won the Heisman for, you guys would have ran out of freaking jersey numbers.
Well, you know, we retired ours. The 8's retired. And so we've retired 8, 45, and 5. That's Davey O'Brien, Sammy Baugh, and LaDainian Tomlinson.
And LT, baby.
Yeah. I mean, like, those are obvious legends. 2 of them had trophies named after them, right?
Yeah, LT's but like the legend of Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah,
man.
right. Yeah,
he brought you a winning season.
Yeah, there should be a threshold. I mean, you know, it's your program, do whatever you want, but like,
and I already got complaints about our own athletic department retiring basketball jerseys, and now I got to go to Colorado and be like, "Yo, dog, this is not it."
Yeah. there's more significant quarterbacks in their history by far. I mean,
if they retire Shedeur's jersey, they should have retired Joel Klatt's like 20 years ago.
Yeah, Joel
right?
Klatt. Friggin', what's his name? The one who threw the Hail Mary at Michigan that I can't think of his name right now. Stewart?
Cordell Stewart.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, what are we doing? But yeah, so, you know, yes, you're talking about you got to replace some guys at skill positions. Somebody needs to step up at running back. Yes. But I feel like a lot of deficiencies can be covered up when you've got solid guys right here. Yeah.
Which we don't.
There's
have.
A lot of it. But is there not experience on I thought there was experience coming back on the ISP one. Am I wrong?
We have had experience the entire time Matt Campbell has been here, outside of like the first 2 years. And I mean, I get it. A lot of the pundits around Iowa State, especially the ones that know where their bread is buttered, always at the beginning of the season go, "This is the greatest offensive line that I have ever seen Matt Campbell ever have."
Well, yeah, they're all
going into spring ball, and then we're doggies. You know? To be fair, their pass blocking was actually pretty freaking good last season. I will admit that. But run blocking, non-freaking existent. Like, we needed a Breece Hall or a David Montgomery type of running back that it didn't matter if you touched him 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He was still going to break a 25-yarder. But, like, we don't have that running back.
Yeah, you know, Breece Halls, they don't grow on trees, that's for sure.
It's hard to get excited for Iowa State offensive line when you've been told, you've been let down many times through the years of, oh, this is going to be a great line. And then like you suffer an injury, or Hayworth Hicks fails out of school. And then all of a sudden, you're into your 2 and 3 deep. And then I know where Iowa State stands in the world of college football. Our 2 and 3 deep aren't the same as everybody else's 2 and 3 deep. And so it just, I don't know. I'm prove it to me and then I'll believe you type of thing with the Iowa State line.
That's fair. That's fair. Y'all are just really leaning into generational trauma.
Hey,
this is a therapy session for us.
It is there for a reason.
Well, we do know we've got a proven commodity in Rocco Becht. Rocco Becht is a very solid quarterback. Where do you feel? I've been asking this of everybody on their previous show. So many good quarterbacks in the Big 12 this coming season. Where do you feel like Rocco Becht ranks among the rest of the Big 12?
I say top 3.
I would say top 3 without even like thinking about who else is in there.
Well, Avery Johnson doesn't count because he's a glorified running back.
I mean, like top 3, rank them any way you want. Josh Hoover, Sawyer Robertson, and Rocco Becht. I mean,
I still think Levitt needs one more.
Eat your heart out, Sam Levitt. Yeah, that's what I was about to
say. Sam Levitt kind of got things covered up with the players he had around him a little bit. He had Scadaboo that could bail him out, and he had those receivers, and just the offensive style. Like, it's easy to cover up quarterbacks in that scenario. I know Kansas fans will yell at me about JD6, but talk to me when he plays a full season.
Yeah. Yep.
Talk to me when he's an actual quarterback too.
Yeah. And the K-State fans will say about Avery Johnson, which
also prove to me when he's a quarterback.
Yeah. But I would say top 3, definitely top 5.
Yeah. I think that there's definitely going to be an interesting year for a lot of the Big 12 quarterbacks. I think a lot of them are going to have something to prove. It's just going to be whether or not they get that complementary play from the run game to kind of take away some of the pressure. But as we've seen over time with Iowa State, like if your run game starts sucking, you're just going to aerate it. And Taylor Mouser is not afraid to pass the football 99.9% of a football game if he thinks that Rocco Becht's shoulder will still be attached to his body at the end of it. Because, I mean, that dude, was it the second possession of the North Dakota game? They did a deep slant route with Jalen Knoll, and he was basically just in the slot, and we scored in like 2 plays, and we're like, oh my God, this offense is amazing. And then Matt Campbell was like, whoa. Let's not keep doing that. Like, let's run the football. And then, like, you could always tell the offensive possessions who was actually calling the things, because all of the big plays were just coming out of the woodwork, and we were scoring in like five plays or less in less than 30 seconds. And you're like, yeah, Taylor Mouser basically got let off the chain there.
Well, let's go ahead and look at the schedule. But before we do that, whoopsie daisy, I almost forgot to do this. Before we look at the schedule, I do got to talk to you out there in radio podcast land about an opportunity that you are all missing out on, okay? Get your personal brand, your business, help us boost it, okay? So sponsorships, get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the voice of college football. See what our partner Win Agency right here on the screen has to say about its sponsorship experience with us. Let's discuss how you can reach your target market. Contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com today. Make it happen. Let's do this thing. Let's do this thing together. All right. So let's talk schedule. We'll get her up here on the screen. As we said, you start things out in Dublin, just a quick little jaunt over there with Kansas State. And, otherwise, the beginning of the season shapes up pretty nicely. I mean, who the hell knows what can happen in El Assico?
Well, no, easy peasy.
But, I mean, yeah, there's really, like, I don't know. I look at these first 5 games, or actually Yeah, definitely 5 games, probably 6 games, and it's like 5-1 is the expectation, if not 6-0. Is that wrong?
Yeah. I mean, I think especially with us playing week 0, it kind of turns out to be in our favor, right? Because we're essentially playing, is it 3 games by the whole way, or 4 games by?
Um, looks like your bye is after Arkansas State, your first bye.
Yeah, so it's 4 by 4 by 4. So I mean, it's kind of nice because
Very nice.
we do get those breaks. It's almost potted up like the 2020 season used to be, where you would get a few games, double bye to do your COVID testing, all that other junk. Then you go back into it. The one thing I do fear is I feel like Matt Campbell's teams traditionally lose after a bye week. Just because they're definitely one of those like emotional, motivating, like we're in the thick of this, like let's just keep going, to where maybe they just come out flat footed. So I'm interested to see how that rolls. But I personally don't see any huge like jump out at me at the beginning. K-State obviously is going to be a bloodbath. The Cyhawk series is always a
You never know
bloodbath
what's
too.
yeah.
Yeah. But outside of those two, like I really don't see a major challenge until probably BYU on
Yeah.
that list. I don't think Colorado is going to be the same, even though it's up in Boulder. I just don't see them being quite as challenging as they used to be.
They weren't
But
that
then
great
that,
to begin with. I mean, honestly.
yeah, and but like, but that back end of the schedule is just like
It's bananas.
you have to get to 6 wins before you start hitting BYU, Arizona State, TCU, Kansas, Okie State. If it's the Okie State of last year, maybe if you're at 5 wins, you can probably circle that one on the calendar as being the gun ho winner. It's kind of nice that we get Arizona State and Kansas at home, as well as BYU. So I mean, that is nice to have.
Those are big, yeah.
I don't want to play in Fort Worth, honestly. But,
well, apparently now you're going to have a ticket. So
I know. Now I have a ticket, so now I'm going to be coming down for Fort Worth.
Let's do it. Let's do the thing.
And we're going to go to Dallas live, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And I'm not going to remember anything.
Don't do anything in
about
Dallas.
the weekend.
You don't need to do anything that side of 35. If I'm giving you a ticket, you're going to hang out in Fort Worth.
Hey, man, as long as I make it to another Buc-ee's, I don't care.
I will say this. I like y'all in that Arizona State game. I like that as a get back. You have them at home. Arizona State, at least last year, did not play as well on the road as they did at home, and I think that they are going to take a little step back. I was worried about that BYU game. I've been very bullish on BYU, but all of a sudden, in the last week or two, we've had all these, like, 2 significant transfers leave BYU, and I'm like, well, are they going to be the same team that I thought they were going to be? But yeah, that's a tough. There's literally no other way to slice from October 25 on. That's a tough row.
Yeah, that's a gauntlet. That reminds me of old school Big 12 when it was North versus South, and we somehow ended up with like Nebraska, Mizzou, Texas, Oklahoma, TAMU, all at the end of the season. And you're just like, what? Why do people hate us?
Yeah. I mean, Greg, what do you think about this schedule? I feel like we haven't heard from you about it.
That Kansas State game scares me, just because Campbell's teams tend to like start slow at the beginning of the season, and K-State brings back a lot. So, but outside of that, I could see them getting to that bye week, or get to that bye week 3-1, and then they get Arizona at home the next week. So you get 4-1 there, 5-1 at Cincinnati. But then when you hit Colorado, BYU all the way down, like that's where I wouldn't be surprised if they, go 500 through there. Like the game at TCU scares me. The game at Oklahoma State scares me.
Yep.
It's hard to play in Stillwater.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas, they seem to have our number the last few years. BYU, last year with Retzloff, they kind of came out of nowhere. And like you said, with the transfers, they had a couple of transfers, but I'd like to see them couple weeks in to kind of see what they actually look like. But I don't know. Like I could see it's completely feasible. Iowa State could go 7-5 next year, and if that happens, that happens. But I won't be too torn up about it because I think we're in 5 games last year that were within 1 score, and we won, I think, 3 or 4 of those, and that typically flips the next season. Like we saw that in 2020 with Iowa State, they won a bunch of close games, and then the next year they lost all those close games. It went 7-5. So, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if it happened. I'm not hoping it does, obviously, but you get down to it. I wouldn't be shocked if they, start off the season like 5-1 and somehow end up 7-5, 8-4.
Yeah, I feel like the basement is 6 wins.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's any way that y'all. I mean, knock on wood.
I think we're now.
I don't think there's any way y'all lose the bowl game.
Yeah, I think it's now at that stage of the Matt Campbell era, especially the way that like the transfer portal is currently at, and like NIL as a whole. I think it's now to the point where 6-6 is like your floor. Like, yeah, you might have that 1 year where you might dip to like 5-7, but it's definitely has to be one of those where you just have extremely unlucky scenarios and no backup plan for that to happen. Or all of your talent is just gone, either graduation, drafts, NIL swaps, whatever. But yeah, I definitely think at least this roster, the bare minimum is 6.
Yeah.
Like a 500. I think we're looking at a failure if it goes below that. And sure. I hate sounding like a burner.
No, I don't think that's not an extreme thing to say at all. Go ahead, Greg.
With the program that Matt Campbell built, like the bottom is 6 wins just based off of, culture means a lot in college football and continuity means a lot in college football. But I mean, I'm not going to say that he's always going to meet that threshold because there could be years that they dip below that, but there's always more to the story. Like a lot of times you could be really bad luck with injuries, or you could lose a lot of close games, or, there's always some kind of circumstance where a Matt Campbell team could dip below that. But Matt Campbell's not the coach that's like, oh, well, they won 2 games. And it's just because he's a bad coach and he's got a bad program, whatever. They've built past that. Like they would have to pretty much have all the injuries they had last year, and then Rocco Beck go out with like a broken leg or something like that for them to miss 6 wins next year.
Yeah.
I think honestly, like our crutch was losing all of our linebacker to where we were starting 2 walk-on freshmen.
Freshman walk-ons from small town Iowa.
In the middle of BF nowhere, Iowa, that aren't even
Conesville,
like up to
Iowa.
230.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was the crazy part, was we were still fairly decent with those walk-ons until people started realizing that these walk-ons have not seen college playbooks. And, the middle of BF nowhere, Iowa, it's 95% run plays. And it's typically in between the tackles.
Yeah, so, they're not seeing the spread offense up in middle of nowhere Iowa, where the linebackers actually have more than just run downhill.
What do you mean? I have to actually pay attention in Tampa too?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm in charge of a wide receiver. I ran like a 7.240.
What is the zone that you're speaking of? I don't know what you're saying.
What do you mean I have to drop back 10 off the line? And I have to be in charge of in between the tackles?
No, it's too much.
These are all foreign to me.
My prediction's 9 wins. I see 9-3. I do. I think that you drop. I think it's K-State, BYU, and TCU, and I think you win the rest. And that'd be I feel like that's another A season. Would y'all not think that was an A season?
Yeah.
I mean, another 9-win season, like freaking. I'll be the one that starts the chant to tell him to start raising the statue of Matt Campbell.
Well, yeah, what? so few of 9-win seasons, you could probably count them on one hand. So if you get 9 wins, it has to be an A, right? When you're talking about the history of Iowa State and what you're comparing it against.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling my shot right now. So, but let me ask you this: who do y'all think makes it to Arlington?
Oh God,
man, Baylor looked really good at the end of last year.
if Baylor figures it out,
TCU looked really good at the end of last year.
Are we going to see 2 Texas schools?
Probably.
And
because like Texas Tech's there too.
Because Texas Tech has like a lot of money pushed into football this year, so like,
yeah,
it's got to be an arms race down in God's country.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to look up and see Kansas State down there too at some point. You know, Kleiman's a good coach.
Yeah.
You know, this past year, they were still in it until the last couple weeks of the season or whatever. So it's not like, you know, he went away. But I would say it's probably going to be an all Texas final this year.
Yeah, that would at least be my bet. I think it's going to be Baylor, Tech, or TCU.
Hey, Brownie, I think you were on the show when I called my shot. I'm calling. Nobody else is calling this. I'm calling a TCU Baylor Big 12 championship, and the hatred in that building will feed families. It is going to be legendary. And Dishfish is hitting the nail on the head. We're going to have our Tech show, here over the summer. I really think Tech, yes, they're spending money like crazy, and good on them, but you don't just plug and play in college football. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
You can't just get all these disparate pieces and just assume that they're going to work together. I think Tech will be good, and Tech will be a tough out every single week, but I don't think they're making it to Arlington. I mean, I said it. I can't remember what show I said it on. There's a reason we call them Sand Aggies down here, right? They can spend all that money, but they're still going to win 8 games. Okay? That's the way it goes.
Shots fired.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
From the top rope.
Come at me. And I mean, I don't hate Tech. Sports hate Tech the way that many TCU fans do. I actually have a soft spot in my heart for Tech, but yeah, I don't see it. I don't think this is not gonna go the way you think. It's kind of
and I think that's going to be like the major rift for NIL right now. It's going to be like, yeah, you need to almost moneyball the situation moving forward, where you have to find that fine line with talent plus money. Like, you can't just plug and play the best players ever all together and it work properly. I mean, look at some of the NHL All-Star teams. Like, they get destroyed by people sometimes because they're just a whole bunch of individual talent.
I mean, look at the Yankees. The Yankees are top 3 teams spending every year, and they haven't won a World Series since 2009. Like, sometimes continuity and just how the pieces fit together exceeds what money can buy.
Yeah.
I mean, Dodgers finally made it pay off for once, but I mean, look at how much they were spending,
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, TCU in 2023 is another great example, right? Fresh off a national championship appearance. We lost a lot of pieces. I mean, we weren't spending Texas Tech money, but we brought in a ton of guys in the transfer portal. All of them were supposed to be really talented, great pieces, and the pieces didn't fit together. We didn't have an offensive line that was successful enough, and everything else just fell apart from there. The defense was a disaster. It's not at this level. It's still about togetherness and teamwork and development and all of those things, and you can't just plug and play. That's not how it works.
I was gonna say, college is definitely one of those where development matters over pure athleticism. Because, I mean, you can have an extremely athletic bunch of football players, but they're gonna get mad at one thing, like, oh, he's getting more touches. I mean, we even see this in the NFL, where wide receivers are like, I don't get targeted enough. I want out. And like, now with the NIL rules where you can just go and contact them directly, like, Tennessee can be like, yo, dog, I heard you want more touches. Like, I'll give you more touches. $4 million.
Yeah. Yeah. When I go back to 2014 TCU, which I will continue to say is the most talented team TCU has ever had, but they had been together for 2 years. developing, and they needed the right system and the right situation to succeed at the level that they did, right? It wasn't just, oh, there's all these talented pieces. They needed those 2 years together. They needed Doug Meacham and Sonny Cumbie to come in and change things. There you go. All right. Caden is chomping at the bit. He's dropping a super chat here. Appreciate the super chat, Caden. He wants to hop on and talk Iowa State. So, Caden, we'll give you about 5 minutes. There's the link in the chat to jump on. Yeah, let's hear what you got to say about Iowa State, and we'll let Greg and Brownie field your thoughts here in a moment. And then we'll close this sucker out as soon as that's over with. While we're waiting for Caden to join, is there one question? I mean, we talked about a lot of questions. You're still not sure about the offensive line, still not sure about go-to receivers, running back, the defense. Is there a question going into fall camp that you feel like you need an answer to the most to be confident about Iowa State in 2025?
Is our first play going to be a shallow crossing route? Because if it is, I'm already willing to sell my season tickets. I swear to God, if I see a shallow cross route, I am going to lose my mind.
I would just say, who replaces Bo Freeler and Malik Verdon in the secondary? I mean, those two guys were multi-year starters. I know Verdon was kind of an injury prone a little bit. Same with Freeler's running around with a shoulder that doesn't work, but
half a shoulder by the end of the season.
Yeah. Who's going to replace those guys? Because like Freeler called the defense essentially. He was like the coach on the field. So like, who steps into that role is what I want answered.
All right, here he is, folks.
It's got to be the secondary as a whole, dude. Because like we also lost 2 of our corners.
That's true. That's true. All right, Caden, you've got thoughts on Iowa State. Let's hear them. Make it quick, brother.
Clint, there is actually something I need to mention to you quick. Number one, Caden the Man is not my actual name. My actual name is Dan here. Dan is my actual name. So just so everybody's clear, there's been a change with my channel. So I won't go into further that. I'll explain that Friday night, Saturday morning. But here's my thing about Iowa State. 2 cents on this. Number one, Iowa State, as long as they can get their team together, especially in the secondary, that's really going to help their defense out, especially. But here's my other thing. If Iowa State can pull the pieces necessary out of the transfer portal, they have a great team and they could go back to the playoffs. And Brownie knows that. As long as they can put the good pieces together. And I said this to Levi on the Iowa State show for the last couple times. I said, as long as they can find the guys in the portal that are willing to come to Iowa State, give it their all, you know what? You got a great team. And by the schedule, you could go back to the playoffs because you have a favorable schedule. Although you got to go to TCU at TCU. But other than that, the Kansas State game is going to be – it's a neutral site game in Dublin. I'm going to say that's going to be maybe a 50-50 game, depending on how it goes. But that's just my 2 cents on how it could go.
All right, appreciate it, Caden. But gentlemen, what do you think about all of that?
I mean, he's right. We obviously have to look into the portal every season. I mean, you're almost stupid to just sit on your hands like Jerome Tang does for basketball and do nothing. But I would say that we have fairly decent players that are coming in, like LaMarcus Hicks. Legacy player. He's coming in. He's going to be a defensive back. Like, is he going to be a day one starter? I don't know. What I was excited about was Xavier Townsend coming back. Heavily recruited him in high school. Went to UCF because his family wanted him to stay closer to home. Completely understandable. But then Malzahn leaves. He's open up for the transfer. And he comes back to Iowa State, which it's going to be interesting because I've been hearing he's been taking snaps on both sides. So it's going to be one of those where, is he going to be the wide receiver that we were originally trying to recruit him for because he also was a running back? Or are they going to try to pull like a TJ Tampa on him halfway through his career? I mean, TJ Tampa, we got him to move over into that corner role, before he even stepped on campus. Basically, a blizzard made TJ Tampa go from a wide receiver to a corner his senior year of high school. So it's definitely going to be interesting with that. I think Trey Bell is definitely going to have to step up as well, coming in as a transfer and play at a high level, especially with our secondary being essentially non-existent from the year before. But my biggest concern going forward is, did we get the right edge players? Did we get the right pass rushers? I don't care about run stop. Like, outside of the UCF game and the little hiccups against Taj Brooks, our run defense was great. It was the passing game that got us blown out. JD6 was able to do whatever he wanted. I mean, JD6 had more time to pass the football than our running backs had time to breathe before they got tackled. So he's right. Like, it's going to start with secondary, and it's going to be interesting.
Greg, anything else to throw out there?
Yeah, I would say it's got to start with the secondary there. They've pulled pieces out of the portal that kind of fit their mold and what they're looking for, but also fit the budget. That's the kind of the problem with Iowa State and the transfer portal. But it seems like Campbell feels like he's got a good team if the secondary can take that next step and fill the void that was left behind. They're either going to have to rock out this year and be more locked down than they were last year, or Iowa State magically has some pass rusher on campus that I don't know about because that's what burned us last. That's what burned us last year, and that's what they're going to focus on next year is attacking the secondary. And I think that our season goes with how the secondary holds up.
I was going to say, is it also one of those where the top 3 running backs are all now gone from the Big 12? Or do we got one more year at Taj?
I think Taj Brooks might be back. Hold on.
Because I know RJ Harvey is gone, right?
Obviously, Scadaboo's gone. I believe
gone.
RJ Harvey's gone.
Avery Johnson's back.
There you go.
He's not a top 3 running back, though, either. I'll give him top 18 running backs. How about that?
All right, Taj Brooks. Taj Brooks is literally listed on the Texas Tech website as a super senior.
No.
So, dead serious.
Brother.
I love how Tech is all of a sudden catching all these strays on this show today.
As a true freshman, so he was a freshman in 2020. No shot. It legit says super senior.
There it is, right
Brother.
there. Super senior.
Oh, I love Tech.
Not even COVID. It's
I
just
love
super
Tech.
senior.
Yeah. A lot of people go to college for 7 years. Right?
Yeah, they're called doctors.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he's back.
I don't know, or regional manager of your local insurance.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, it was a blast. I told y'all it would be. Okay, there was no way this wasn't going to be a great show. Thanks so much for coming on. Tell the people where they can find you.
Well, you can't find me. I'm on a
You're off
hiatus.
the grid, huh?
I'm off the grid from Twitter right now, so you can't find me. If you need to get me, contact Brownie.
Yeah, don't contact me unless it's love for Greg, because I'll just tell him the polar opposite anyways. You can find me on Twitter still at Hoosier Burner. Blue Sky is at Wide Right or Brownie WRNL. Feel free to follow our main account, Wide Right Natty Light, on Twitter, as well as widerightnattylight.com. We'll be posting some fun football content through the off season, so that way the burners can stop going crazy.
Oh, thank you, Dishfish. Apparently, Taj Brooks was at the combine, so I guess he's
Good.
getting drafted.
Hi.
So,
Good riddance. Didn't want to see him again anyways.
Bye. Okay, so yeah, subscribe to the show. There you go. Subscribe to the show, folks, at Big 12 BOCFB. There it is right there. Come on, do us all a favor. Do yourself a favor. Do America a favor. All right? We're in some tough economic times right now. You got to subscribe to a YouTube show. All right? Make it a little bit better. Do your part. And follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55 and on YouTube at Clint Foster Creations. Check out those 2 bonus features that I've got posted for Remember the Alamo Bowl, with more coming on the way, and look out for that in the fall. And of course, connect with the Voice of College Football on Twitter, Instagram, and find us on your favorite audio platform of choice. Next week, it's going to be a draft recap. That's all we're going to be talking about. Which Big 12 players are going to the NFL, who we think is going to be the most successful in their new landing spots. And then we'll get back into team previews immediately after that. I think Kansas State actually is the next one up. So, beautiful. But until then, I love you. I hope your team wins. And go Big. See you around.
Unless you're Utah.
Yeah, I don't hope you win. Sorry.